I work in Amazon as a delivery guy, and this happened to me in my earlier years. I was heading to my last delivery for the night. Thunderstorm and lightning was making it tough to drive. I checked the address and found it was on the outskirts. I've never been to this part of the city before. I knew that without the GPS, I would be completely lost. I was about to take a left turn when a huge bolt of lightning flashed nearby, and heavy rainfall started to take place. Damn it. It was becoming very difficult to drive amidst the thunderstorm, so I slowed down and waited for the rain to stop. After 15 minutes of waiting in the car, the rain finally reduced to some extent. As I was running late, I knew I'm not going to get a tip on this order. I reached the destination after driving for 20 minutes more. There stood a two-stored wooden house in the middle of nowhere. I took the package and walked to the house porch. I rang the doorbell. The house was in complete darkness, which made me a bit worried, because it would be a total bummer if the owners are not home. I waited for a while. Seeing no response, I got a bit irritated and rang the doorbell once again, but still, no one answered the door. I was thinking to call my boss and return home, when suddenly I heard footsteps walking towards the door. Within a few seconds, a man opened the door. He was an average height, bony guy with really wide eyes. He just stood there, didn't talk, didn't say anything, just watched me. Sorry for the delay, sir. Here's your package. He took the package from my hand and smiled weirdly. Okay, I'll take your leave then. I turned back to return to my car when the man stopped me. Would you like to come in for a birthday party? This was a really weird request, so I refused to say. No thanks. I have to drive a long way back and it's already late. None of my daughter's friends turned up on her 10th birthday. It would have been nice if you joined us for a treat. I felt bad for his daughter. Also, the guilt of delivering the order late shut down my rational senses. I thought, what harm will come if I stay for a while? After all, this is my last delivery of the night. Come on in. I won't keep you long. As I entered the house, I realized there's no electricity. There were candles on the shelves, creating a spooky atmosphere around. I followed the man silently. The house was so quiet that I could hear our footsteps on the wooden floor. After walking for a few seconds like this, we stopped in front of a door. The man pushed the door and it creaked open. We entered a big room. A flash of huge lightning struck outside the glass window on the opposite wall, and an eerie feeling grabbed my heart. There was a big dining table in the middle of the room. There were dishes on that table covered with lids. Candles were lit in this room too, but there was no birthday decorations. The ambiance was nothing like a birthday party. There wasn't even a birthday cake. I was looking around when the man appeared behind me, screaming, "Happy birthday!" Jesus, what the hell? I like joking around. Why don't you take a seat? I'll go bring my daughter. We'll have a grand meal tonight. The man left. I sat down on the chair nearby, but something in the back of my mind kept telling me that I shouldn't be here. But I couldn't just leave, so I waited for the guy to come back. I decided I will stay till the girl cuts her birthday cake. 5 minutes went by, but the man was nowhere to be seen. I was about to get up and look for him when I heard a muffled groaning sound. All this time, I didn't notice that there was a door on the other side of the room. The sound was coming from behind that door. I slowly walked to the door and tried to listen carefully. Someone was groaning in pain, but his voice was very low, as if he is falling unconscious with the pain. I twisted the doorknob, but I found it locked. I crouched down to look at what's inside. As I peeked through the keyhole, my heart started pounding in my ears. A man was tied to a chair and he had no eyes. His eye sockets were hollow and blood was dripping from them. Not just that, his legs were chopped off from his knees. My God, I've stepped into the trap of a murderer. I immediately stood up and turned back to leave. What's the rush, package guy? The creepy man hit me with a shovel on the head, and I fainted on the ground. When I came back to my senses, I heard a happy birthday tune playing in the background. But there was also one other sound. The sound of flesh being chopped and cut off. I slowly opened my eyes and found myself tied to a chair, sitting near the same dining table. The eyeless guy was sitting right next to me, and now he was dead. The creepy man was holding a bloody heart in his hand and smiling at me. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I have a different taste in food." The freak placed the bloody heart on a plate on the table. He then started to walk to each dish and uncover their lids. "You want to know what's on the menu for dinner?" He took the first lid off, and I saw a pair of eyes placed with salad dressing. He then walked to the next dish and took off its lid. There was a pair of human feet roasted and garnished on that plate. "Now, one of my signature dishes." The man lifted the third lid, and there were 2 limbs braised in gravy. I realized it was all a lie. This man has no daughter. He's a psycho cannibal, and this is how he hunts his victims down. "Please let me go! What have I done to you?" I screamed. "I can't let you go. You're my main course for this evening." The man picked up a saw from the floor and started to come at me. I screamed and pleaded, but he just laughed. "I just have a different taste in food. Why is it so hard for you to understand?" I screamed one last time as he lifted his saw over my head. Just then, I heard a loud bang. The psycho fell on the floor as the cops shot him in the head. I don't remember how they got me out of the house. I probably fainted once again. It came to know that the eyeless guy was a detective investigating mysterious disappearances in that area. He unraveled the mystery by finding this psycho killer and informed the cops. The cops traced his phone and found this cannibal's house. A dead man saved my life that day, but I still shake in fear when I recall the psycho telling me, "I just have a different taste in food."
Hey guys, before starting the next story, I would like to suggest to you guys to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And if you have already subscribed, then you guys are awesome.
I've never been this scared in my life. For the last few days, I can't sleep, can't eat, can't do anything in peace. I'm a shopaholic and I love purchasing everything online. One of my favorites online go-to shop is Amazon. Half of my monthly salary goes to them, and by now I think almost every delivery guy from Amazon is mugged up to my house address. But now, I'm scared to buy anything online because someone is leaving mysterious Amazon packages on my doorstep. There's no proper time for their arrival, and no one knocks on my door. But between every 2 to 3 days, I receive them. It all started one sunny morning. I just got up from bed and came downstairs to make breakfast when I saw my cat scratching the main door. I've never seen him behave this way. Albert is a lazy cat who barely moves from his seat. "What is it, Albert?" He went on rubbing his paw on the doormat. I thought maybe he wanted to go outside, so I opened the door and there it was. A package labeled by Amazon was sitting on my porch. I thought maybe it's the wall clock that got delivered early. I found it extremely unprofessional on behalf of the delivery guy. He should have at least knocked to notify me. I brought it inside and kept it on the dining table. For a wall clock, the package felt surprisingly light. Something inside rattled when I picked it up. I left it like that and went to fry some bacon and eggs. After finishing breakfast, I decided to open it up. I cut the first layer of tape with my kitchen seizure, and then the entire wrap came out. It felt like someone already opened it and then put it all back together. I unfolded the cardboard box and peeked to see what was inside. My eyes widened with shock as I found a ring of cable wires that had been ripped off from both ends. What the hell? This was the stupidest joke ever. What's the point of putting some worn-out cable inside a disposed-of Amazon box? And why on earth did someone leave it on my doorstep? With a pissed-off mood, I dumped it in the bin under the kitchen sink and left for work. The entire day, I couldn't concentrate on my work. I kept thinking about the package. When I came home, I took a shower to cheer up my mind and ignore the morning incident. I came downstairs and sat on the couch to watch the news. As I turned on the TV, breaking news flashed on the screen. Last night in the 23C block, a woman was found murdered in her house. Her porch window was open from where the intruder supposedly entered the home. It said that she had been strangled with her cable wire, but the murder weapon is missing from the crime scene. Cops are interrogating everyone in the neighborhood about this mystery killer. My eyes went to the kitchen. I could feel a sudden rise in my heartbeat. I slowly got up and walked to the kitchen sink. The package is still lying inside the dustbin. I took it out once again and opened it. The thin white wire no doubt belongs to a cable TV. Is it even possible? Or am I just overthinking things? This all can just be a coincidence intertwined with a stupid joke. Just when I heard Albert growling at the cable wire on my hand. I put it all back but didn't throw the package away this time. I don't know what I was waiting for. I still regret not going to the cops right then. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought the cops might have suspected me if the wire turns out to be a missing murder weapon. Also, the victim's house is not far away from my place. I struggled to sleep that night. All I could think was a pair of hands strangling my neck with that white cable wire. My eyes were bulging out. My tongue was hanging as I was desperate to free myself from the killer's tight grasp. Around 3 a.m., I woke up with a dry throat. I grabbed the glass of water from the bedstand and was about to take the first sip when I heard footsteps in my yard. I sprung out of bed and went to the window to look outside. As I peeked, I saw a figure dressed in black disappearing into the bushes nearby. Was it him? Did he come back? I rushed downstairs and with a trembling hand opened the main door. And there it was again. Another similar-looking Amazon package was sitting on my porch. I picked it up while shaking in fear. Who knows what I'll find this time? Albert growled at me, or rather, at the package that I was about to open. I unfolded the box and inserted my hand to pick something that was shining inside. As soon as my hand touched the object inside the box, I felt a warm liquid running through my fingertips. It wasn't water, but rather something sticky. I turned on the lamp nearby and found myself holding a bloody knife. The blood was still warm, which means another murder has taken place just a few moments back. Oh my God, a killer is dumping his murder weapons at my place. And now both of his murder weapons have my fingerprints on them. I ran to wash my hand and puked on the kitchen sink out of fear and disgust. What should I do now? Should I call the cops? What if they don't believe me? What if they think I'm the one behind these killings? There's only one way out of this. I must destroy these murder weapons. I went straight to the basement and burned the cable wire and the 2 packaging boxes right away. I cleaned the knife with dishwashing soap and bleach after that. The rest of the night, I slept on the couch in the living room. The next morning, I called sick and took leave from work. The TV news was turned on and I was waiting for that one single piece of news. The morning went by and afternoon fell, but there was no news of a second murder. I was walking in the entire house restlessly when I heard cop cars outside. My heart almost came out of my chest. Why in the hell are they here? I peeked behind the blinds of the window and I saw cops and paramedics in my neighbor's house. Does that mean... But before I could contemplate on that thought, my doorbell rang. I went to an utmost panicked mode. The cops are here to interrogate me now. What if they find out about these murder weapons? I have to speak carefully. I don't want to go to prison for the crimes I haven't done. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and tried to act as normal as I could. I opened the main door and saw a cop standing right in front of me. Hello, officer. Good afternoon, ma'am. My name's Officer Brad. If you have a second, I'd like to ask you some questions regarding the murder next door. What? There's been a murder next door? But how? Oh my God. Ma'am, please calm down. We don't want anyone to panic. Can I come in? Yes, please. I made way for him, and Officer Brad entered my house. We sat down in the living room, and he told me my neighbor, Mrs. Atwood, has been stabbed to death last night. They're looking for the murderer. He asked me if I hadn't seen or heard anything suspicious last night, and I replied not at all. His questions were obvious, like if Mrs. Atwood had any enemy or feud with someone who could kill her for revenge, and my answers were no. I went on pretending like a dumb person who knew nothing about all this. After a tense round of interrogation, when Officer Brad realized I have no useful information to give him, he got up and warned me to maintain high security, as the killer can strike again. I walked him to the door and saw him moving to the next house. As soon as I closed the door, I collapsed on the floor with tears. Why me? Why is the killer doing this to me? I couldn't eat the entire day. I drank a lot out that night and passed out on the couch. I don't remember how long I was gone, but my senses sharpened with the sound of the main door opening. I jumped from the couch and ran to hid under the stairs. The door closed and someone walked into my house. I kept the knife under the stairs, which the murderer left earlier. Footsteps started to come close to me, and a voice spoke. I know you're hiding, Kelly. Kelly? My name is Caroline, and there's the only person in the entire world that called me Kelly. Oh my God, is it Mark? Mark was the creepiest boyfriend I ever had. A cold shiver ran down my spine when I recalled how I filed a restraining order on him 2 years back, and he said to me, "You'll pay for this, Kelly." So it's him the whole time trying to get his ugly revenge on me. I reached out to my left pocket to call the cops, but discovered I'd left my phone on the couch. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my hair and pulled me out in one painful swift. How did you like my gifts, Kelly? Mark threw me on the hard floor while laughing like a maniac. What do you want from me? I screamed while sobbing in fear. Mark gazed at me with bloodshot eyes and said, "Nothing. I just want you. And now we don't have any other way than to run away, you know? Go pack your things. We'll leave right now, hon." What? Why would I run away with you? Oh, my sweet, innocent Kelly. Don't you get it? I killed those people and sent you the murder weapons for a reason, you know. You didn't go to the cops, which makes it clear you have tried to hide them. And now you're equally responsible for those crimes as much as me. Tampering with murder evidence is a crime indeed. You shouldn't have picked up those Amazon packages, my poor lamb. My head started to throb in pain as I finally understood his evil plan. But this time, I'm not going down without a fight. You crazy freak! I jumped on him and stabbed him with the same knife he stabbed my neighbor to death. Blood started pouring like a fountain, and his body trembled like roadkill. I kept stabbing him until his entrails came out from his stomach. I'm now driving to the big lake on the outskirts. His body is lying in the back, wrapped in layers of plastic. I'll dump him in the lake along with the knife, and the mystery killer will never be found by the cops. Everyone will know he went underground after 2 murders, and I'll be done with this shit, once and for all. I'm scared to shop online because of what happened last time. Due to the COVID situation, I isolated myself like everyone else at home. My company imposed the work of home deal on every worker, and 2020 happened. Even though the lockdown got lifted, I resisted myself from going out. So, my only option was to order my necessities online. Sometimes orders would take time, and sometimes they appear on your doorstep before the expected delivery date. This is what exactly happened to me. On a Friday evening, I was watching a movie with a tub of snacks and a Coke when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, and where I stay as neighbors don't mix that well with each other. I got up and looked from the eye hole on the door. A guy dressed as a delivery man stood on the other side with a big box in his hand. I asked, "Who is it?" To which he replied he has come to deliver my package from Amazon. I had to open the door. We finally met, and the man said he is early with my order. I checked the receipt and found out that he was telling the truth. The package indeed belongs to me. I took the cardboard box from his hand and told him to wait outside. I was standing facing my back at him while taking out the money from my wallet when I had a weird feeling. Something was not right, and I couldn't tell why. I turned around immediately and the delivery guy was still standing there like before. His eyes had a piercing look that creeped me out a bit. Anyways, I shrugged it off and went to hand him the money. That's when the situation turned even creepier. While taking the money from me, he gave me a disturbing smirk and said, "You smell like my ex-girlfriend," after they dug her up. My body froze in fear, and I couldn't decide what should be my next move. My door is wide open, and he can take advantage of me right away, but he didn't. After saying this craziest thing that someone has ever told me, the delivery guy started to walk to his car parked on the driveway. He didn't turn back, didn't stop, just went on his way. I somehow got my shit together and locked the door as soon as he left. What on earth was wrong with this man? I sat quietly for almost an hour trying to make sense of what just happened. When I finally made up my mind that this man is a freak and nothing else, I decided to report him to Amazon. I did what I had to do. They mailed me with an apology and promised to take action on this guy. Meanwhile, I checked all the windows and doors of my house because I had a feeling this isn't over yet. Damn, I was right. I was making dinner in the kitchen when I saw a shadow outside. Someone was walking in my backyard, and I could hear grunting noises. I went to the back door and switched on the floodlights, and the creepy guy was back. He was walking back and forth in my backyard with bloodshot eyes and a furious face. Not just that, every time he took a step, he spat on my yard in the most disgusting way possible. Without opening the back door, I screamed, "Get the hell out of here before I call the cops, you freak!" The man stopped walking and turned his head towards me. I've never been scared to this extent in my entire life. He looked like he's ready to slash my throat any time now. He picked up a rock from the ground and threw it on one of the lights, smashing the glass in his first attempt. "What the hell, man? Why are you doing this?" I screamed again, but he didn't bother to reply. One by one, he shattered all the 4 lights of my backyard without hesitating for a second. Once he was done, he started to walk towards my back door. I stepped back in fear, thinking he will try to break now. There was a metal vase on the table nearby. I grabbed it to protect myself from what was coming next, but surprisingly, he didn't try to intrude. He just stood in front of my glass window and stared at me while breathing heavily. I called 911 and he didn't even try to stop me. When I finished the call, he leaned on the window, resting his face and palm on the glass and said, "If I wanted, I could have done lots of things to you back then, but I didn't. Then why did you report me?" "Because you're crazy, man. Look at the way you're behaving. Do you call this sanity? You're scaring me." "Well, now you have awakened the voices inside my head. They're not always in my control, but I tried my best back then. Still, you reported me for no reason." "For no reason? Really? Do you even hear yourself? You said I smell like your ex-girlfriend after she was dug up. What the hell does that even mean?" "That wasn't me. That was Marvin. He didn't just say that he also told me to do things to you, but did I listen to him? No. Then why did you report me? Why? Why? Why?" Oh my god, this man is sick, and he needs medical help. I realize the cops will take time to reach here. Until then, I have to keep him in control so that he doesn't try anything terrifying further. I toned down my voice and said, "Look, I'm sorry, I got scared. I'll call the customer service and withdraw my complaint." "You can't just withdraw something like this. Tell me, if I cut you open, will I be able to withdraw that? Tell me, you bitch." Is Marvin telling you to do that? The expression on his face changed immediately. He started to sob like a kid, hiding his face inside his palms. After a minute like this, he looked at me and said, "I want these voices to stop. I want Marvin to go away. He's ruining my life." I finally realized what is wrong with him. The man is suffering from multiple personality disorder. I slowly walked to the window and told him, "Why don't you sit there and calm down? I'm sure the cops will be able to help you." To help the poor guy, I forgot I have gone too close to the window. His face changed all of a sudden and he started to bang on the glass with his head while screaming. "You can't help me! You can't help me! I'll cut you open and play with your entrails! I'll make you suffer till your last breath!" I screamed at the top of my lungs and turned back to run upstairs. I heard the glass window shattering behind me as I rushed to my room. The man jumped inside and started chasing me like a raging bull. I stormed into my room and went to slam the door behind me when the man inserted his hand from the gap and it got stuck between me. But I was past showing him any kindness. I kept banging the door on his hand while he screamed in pain. Bones started to crack and hiss and bleed terribly with the door stomping on it repeatedly. The more he screamed, the more I tried to close it. Out of excruciating pain, he moved his hand away and I locked the door in a blink. He kicked and banged on my door while saying obscene things. I collapsed on the ground while praying to God to send the cops as soon as possible. After a minute like this, the banging stopped and everything got quiet. I heard the cop car's sirens outside. That night, 2 officers searched the entire area near my house and found nothing. The man was gone. They're still looking for him, and I've shifted to my best friend's house. I'm not going back to that house until this man gets arrested. Even if he is mentally ill, I can't risk my life any further. I just hope the cops catch him soon and get him the necessary help before he brutally kills someone. Because if he really killed his girlfriend, he's going to strike again.